Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Tech Tuesday. We're thrilled that you're joining us today to learn about two local apprenticeship training programs. We have Amber Lowry and Mike Bryan from CyberUp joining us today to tell us about their cybersecurity apprenticeship. Also joining us is Zakita Armstrong Asukwo from Gateway Global, who will be telling us about Gateway Global's Geospatial Information Apprenticeship. Before we begin the presentations, we have several people from Special School District joining us, and I'd like for them to introduce themselves. Ms. Bengali?
Hi, I'm Heidi Bengali, and I am the Technology Specialist Instructor for North and South Technical High Schools.
Ms. Myers?
Hi, I'm Michelle Myers. I am the Cisco Networking Teacher from South Technical High School.
And Ms. Venturella?
Hi, I'm Patty Venturella, and I'm the Web and Computer Programming Teacher at South Tech High School.
And I am Sally Defani, Administrator of Partnerships for Special School District. Please know that we will be continuing our Tech Tuesday sessions through the end of this semester. So we hope that you'll continue joining us for the rest of those sessions. The schedule, as well as the links to our previously recorded sessions, can be found on the North and South Tech websites. As our guests are presenting, please type any questions you have into the chat. We'll start with our friends from CyberUp, and then we'll answer any questions you may have about their apprenticeship. And then we'll have Ms. Armstrong Asukwo present on the geospatial apprenticeship, and you can ask any questions that you have in the chat for her apprenticeship as well. Okay, we were going to go ahead and start with Ms. Lowry and Mr. Bryan. Would you like to share your screen?
Kick it off to you, Mike.
All right, so let me just find this screen, share that. All right, can everybody see the title page? Excellent. So I'm here today to tell you about our youth outreach program that we started last January. We ran a pilot season of a gamified version of learning cybersecurity. And we are launching the full season right now. Actually, we are registering people at the moment. And the first competition is just in a few weeks. So what is the PowerUp Cyber Games? I'm sure that everybody wants to know. So it's a monthly Capture the Flag competition for middle school and high school students that takes place during the school year. Oops. A CTF is a special kind of cybersecurity competition that's designed to challenge its participants to solve computer security problems and/or capture and defend computer systems. We give each team a consecutive 3-hour block of time to compete on a Thursday, a Friday, or a Saturday. The specific day and time within the competition block can be changed each month due to school schedules and team leader availability. The competition consists of a series of challenges that allow students to demonstrate their ability to identify hackers from forensic data, pen test and audit vulnerable websites, recover from ransomware attacks, and more. Student players compete to build their skills through related curriculum learning, either in the classroom or from peer and self-taught methods. After each month's competition, students will know exactly what they got right and where they can improve. The top scoring teams and individuals will compete in the championship rounds to determine the first, second, and third place winners for the season. This is a great way for teachers, parents, and students to learn cybersecurity skills, tools, and knowledge. So the timeline, this is when our competition dates are taking place. You can see they're clustered around the middle of the month. There's a 3-day time period that you get to choose a 3-hour block of time on one of those days, and that's when your team competes. So that means that you're not necessarily going up head to head against anyone. You're playing against yourself and against the clock. So the first one is going to be in, about 10 days, less than 10 days, coming up soon. All right, so now I want to show you guys a demo. If I can find the X, there we go. All right, so can you see the Cyber Skyline? Okay, so Cyber Skyline is our gaming platform provider, which means that they're the ones that invented the game, and we are the ones that are recruiting the people for it to play and participate in the season. Cyber Skyline is really, really good at what they do. They actually are the gaming platform provider for the National Cyber League, which is the gold standard for this type of competition in the United States at the moment. So if we take a look inside Cyber Skyline, I'm going to show you guys an example. In the gaming platform, the students not only have a practice gymnasium that they use to practice the skills and knowledge and tools, but they also have feedback in terms of scoring reports and leaderboards and stuff like that. So if we look at practice gymnasium, you can see my scorecard here in the middle. I haven't done a whole lot of work on it, but I've done a little bit. So the performance index chart on the right shows my progress on those two categories. But if we take a look at open source intelligence is all about collecting freely available open source information off of the internet or from images. So the student's instructions is to download the picture of the baby lamb. So I'm going to do that so I can walk you guys through that. And then we're going to answer these questions that are all contained in the metadata. Metadata is all of the information about the picture that's taken that the camera stores. So if we open up, oh no, I'm not going to do it that way. I'll do it this way.
Okay.
All right, and then,
Okay.
oh, no, that's not it. Sorry. So easiest way to do it is to go into your file folder, find the file, right click on it. Once you right click on it, you can scroll all the way down to properties. Then properties under details, it's going to show you the dimensions and the width and height, the resolution, the compression, what type of camera, who made it, the exposure time, the GPS latitude and longitude, and then of course down here at the bottom is just the file name. So that's how you would figure out how to answer all of these questions, is you would scroll through this metadata here that's embedded in the picture, and then you would enter in the correct answers in these buckets over here. I've already done it, so you can't see the correct answers, but if you're curious, they have included a solution set here, so we can see when the image was created, size, make of the camera, model of the camera, exposure time, and then the GPS coordinates as well. So once you finish a challenge and you've gotten everything right, or perhaps if you haven't been able to get everything right and you had to skip a question, then this little thing will prompt you onto the next challenge. Then you move on to the next one. And this one is really, really simple. This one is called lookup because all of these answers can be found on Google. All the students have to do is copy and paste this into a Google tab, and then by reading a few articles or maybe even just one article, they can find the information very quickly and easily. So that is the basic setup for our Cyber Skyline platform and the practice gymnasium that comes along with it. And if anybody has any questions about that, go ahead and throw them in the chat and we'll get to that after Amber is done with hers. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Amber, you can go ahead with yours.
Okay. All right. So Mike just told you what you can do now in cybersecurity, and this is kind of what you're prepping yourself for once you graduate high school. So there's tons of different options available to get into the cybersecurity career field. You can go college, you can go apprenticeship, training. It's basically choose your own adventure. So today we're going to talk about CyberUp's Cybersecurity Analyst Apprenticeship Program. So just briefly, since I know everyone loves agendas, I want to talk about who we are, why cybersecurity, what is the industry even looking for, what the pre-apprenticeship program entails, our actual apprenticeship program, and then we'll open it up for questions. So just in case, as a reminder, my name is Amber Lowry. I'm the program director for CyberUp. And CyberUp's a nonprofit organization whose mission is to cultivate the cybersecurity talent pipeline. We do that through training adults through our apprenticeship program and inspiring youth through our Power Up Cyber Games, what Mike just talked about. So why cybersecurity? There's so many different kinds of career fields available. Cybersecurity is a growing industry. It's great opportunities for career advancement and growth, especially with the pandemic going on right now and everyone's working remotely. Hackers are just taking advantage of that. So the cybersecurity need has just skyrocketed since the pandemic's happened. And then fun fact, according to Glassdoor, the average salary for a cybersecurity analyst is around 50 to 100K. And I looked up for the St. Louis area. So you can also make some really good money doing something that actually gives it back and makes a difference. What is the industry looking for? If you wonder, would I be a good cybersecurity analyst? Are you a problem solver? Do you work well in teams? Are you a lifelong learner? Do you have that grit and determination to figure out a problem and not give up? Then are you a good communicator? So really, this is what the industry is looking for. It's okay if you've never taken apart a computer. It's okay if you don't play video games. There's so many different types of positions available that if you have these core attributes, you can excel in this career field. And this is where CyberUp's pre-apprenticeship program comes in. We can take, if you had those core attributes, we can take someone off the street and get you trained and ready to be placed at a company. So we have something that's called a pre-apprenticeship program, which really just means the training up front before you get placed. So the pre-apprenticeship program prepares candidates for success in CyberUp's apprenticeship program. All what you need to have, the qualifications, 0 IT or cybersecurity related experience, GED or high school diploma, and then eligible to work in the United States. That's it. We do have an assessment fee of $100 or an application fee of $100, which just covers your background check and just covers some of the basic materials. But that's it. Since we are a nonprofit, we are able to pass that cost on for training through government grants, workforce investment dollars, or even company sponsorships. So this is the only potential cost that you would face. So the training curriculum will cover the CompTIA A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. And what you'll earn at the end of that, you will actually test for the CompTIA Security Plus certification. We will pay for you to take the actual test. Once you pass that actual test, then you'll be able to, you'll be eligible to be placed with a company to begin your apprenticeship program for additional training. But let's say, since you guys are with North South Tech, if you already have one of these certifications like the A+, you can just skip that and keep going. That's fine. So once you're ready to get placed in our apprenticeship program, this is an actual paid on-the-job training, making at least $15 an hour. This is where you get your hands-on experience actually in the field. So the only qualifications to enter into that program is to complete our pre-apprenticeship program and have earned a CompTIA Security Plus certification. That's it. What we're going to cover in that apprenticeship program, it's about a year-long training of on-the-job paid experience. But the cool thing about registered apprenticeship programs is that the more you learn, the more you earn. So typically our candidates might start off making around $15 an hour, but they end up typically making around $20 to $24 an hour. That's not bad, just with 1 years of zero experience. And then we're also going to turn on additional curriculum. So then you can test for an additional industry recognized certification. What we're trying to do here are stackable credentials is what we've noticed the industry is really looking for. And then about the apprenticeship program, what you'll earn. So at the end of this year-long program, not only are you getting paid, but you'll also earn your Department of Labor Journeyman certification. You'll earn one more industry recognized certification. We leave this open to whatever is going to best benefit you and the company, but it's going to be industry recognized. And that's about it. So I'll open it up to questions, short and sweet, and we can definitely share these slides afterwards.
Wonderful. Ms. Bengali, were there any questions typed into the chat?
We don't have any questions at this time.
Okay, Ms. Myers and Ms. Venturella, might you have any questions about this apprenticeship or pre-apprenticeship program?
Trying to unmute myself, sorry. My question is, my students will earn, the goal is to earn their CCNA certification.
Okay.
So how will that fall into with the CompTIA A+? Is there any overlap, like because they have their CCNA certification that they wouldn't have to take those, or is it required that they get those CompTIA certifications?
Well, I know that the CCNA goes in really into the weeds and the A+ is more of an overview. So
Right.
we accept that to where they can skip the A+ and move right into Network Plus,
Okay, all right.
Security Plus. Ultimately, we want to get them to the Security Plus level, which is
Okay.
what the industry has told us that they feel comfortable with hiring true entry-level talent. They're really looking for that Security Plus. So yeah, I can skip ahead a little bit, but then we want to set them up for success for the Sec Plus.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay.
We do have a couple questions in the chat now.
Okay.
One of our questions is it preferred for people who are applying to have fast typing skills?
Not really. We do a basic assessment test. But I mean, there is some computer literacy skills that you do have to have since this is cybersecurity and we are on a computer. But I guess typing the actual speed is kind of relevant. I don't think we've actually like marked a minimum. So yeah, it's needed because sometimes you go into coding or you got to be able to navigate a Google website for your searches, but yeah, basically whatever they're going to end up anyways from you guys, because I'm sure you guys teach the computer literacy and prep them for the workforce. But yeah, we don't have an exact score for that.
Another question is, how do we as students apply for the program?
Yeah, great question. So you can just go to our website at wecyberup.org/candidates. So that's wecyberup.org/candidates. And that's where you can learn a little bit more about our program. And then there's this large orange button down at the bottom that says sign up now for an information session. And you just click on that. And the next information session is going to be January 12th and 14th, I believe. And it's also a remote session, but you do have to sign up and actually attend. That's your first step to actually applying for the program. We have a morning session and an afternoon session.
Ms. Lowry, do you think it's too early for students who are graduating in May to participate in that January session? That would be a good time for them to do that. Okay, great.
Yeah, because realistically, the next time we'll probably have an info session might be June. And by then they kind of want to already get started and prepped. So really, since we have a great partnership with you guys, we know the caliber of students that are coming through. So we would be able to help kind of transition and get them prepped. So then once they graduate, they can hopefully enter the workforce ASAP.
Perfect. Ms. Bengali, any other questions?
There was one last thing, not a question, but someone had just mentioned, can we have a link to this? So for those students that would like, this recording will be available on the North and South Tech website. So you can always go back and see this information again and hear that website web address again from Ms. Lowry.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I did
Okay,
have a question. Could I ask
good.
something? Okay, so on the pre-apprenticeship program, when they do the training on the Security Plus and Network Plus, is that all online curriculum that they can do self-paced, or are there classes that they attend, or how does that work?
So we actually have two options. Yes, they could do it self-paced. Online, we do have pre-recorded videos of our lessons that from a live instructor, one of our live instructors already recorded. So if they're the kind of student who doesn't need a more set schedule, a live instructor, but it's still virtual, then they can do the pre-recorded sessions and go that way. But if they're the kind of student who also, depending around the funding we receive, sometimes we still host cohorts. Like, for example, we just had one kick off last week. That's meeting once a night, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., 1 day a week, a live instructor, but because of COVID, it is through WebEx. And then we teach the class that way. So I guess really we try to meet the candidate where they are and best assess which path is going to be kind of best for them.
Very good. Anything else, ladies? Any other questions?
One more in the chat.
Okay.
The question is, are there any programs for job shadowing that are available?
So job shadowing in the cybersecurity career field is a little more challenging. Typically, people are looking for security clearances, and due to just the nature of the job, that's a really tricky. We've tried to in the past, but yeah, it's cybersecurity. It's security stuff. Everything's so sensitive. So we are trying to work with other organizations like SLIP to help with that kind of placement or job shadowing. But we do have also on our website, under our youth programs, there's resources. And then you can actually download an app, which is a day in the life of a cybersecurity professional. So that's kind of our next best thing that we have from Security Advisor Alliance. It's just, Mike, do you remember what the app's called? Like, if they just want to search for it on their phone, like,
It's got a weird name, like life health. Oh, what is it?
yeah.
I can look it up.
We can also send you that information, but it's basically, if you just go on our website under the youth stuff, and then instead of CyberUp Power Games, it's additional resources, and you'll see 4 different tabs. And one of them is going to be download the app now. And that's another way that you can kind of job shadow a real professional. And you can also build your cybersecurity resume and kind of identify now what your strengths and weaknesses are of maybe potential areas that you might be just a natural fit in. And the app's free also.
That sounds like a great resource. And I would also encourage the student who's asking that question to speak to his or her instructor at North or South Tech, and let's have a conversation about a possible job shadowing later in the school year.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, our CyberUp friends. That was fantastic. And I think we're going to move on to Ms. Armstrong Asukwo with Gateway Global. And so if you would like to share your screen, that would be great.
Yes, I will. Thank you. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. I will start with an introduction and then show you a couple of photos, and then we'll have a short video before we get back to my presentation. So my name is Zakita Armstrong Asukwo. I am the founder and president of Gateway Global. Gateway Global has 2 units. We have a nonprofit unit, which is American Youth and Business Alliance. It is our STEM-based workforce education organization that recruits and forms partnerships and builds curriculum for STEM-based workforce preparedness, specifically right now working on geospatial. And then also we have Gateway Global Data Logistics, which is our geospatial analysis and research firm that we launched to create jobs for young apprentices that come through our program. A lot of the work that we do is tied into all the geospatial activity that you may or may not have heard of here around St. Louis, which is why I'm sharing these pictures. So for those of you who have not been following, St. Louis has been fortunate enough to keep the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency here in our region, and they are building a $1.7 billion complex right in North St. Louis City, just near downtown. That is where the ground is. If you can see, it is massive, and you can see the arch from there. That's currently the spot where they're building. I just want to give some context. This is the rendering of what the expectation, for the site to look like once all of the buildings are completed. This is the federal complex, as you can see. Again, it's a rendering, but what's really important to note here is that outside of that federal complex, there will be tons of contracting employers that are either here now and some that are actually planning to set up offices here that will be hiring a great number of people, just like NGA. We often talk about how many jobs will be available through NGA and neglect to talk about all the indirect jobs through contractors that will be opportunities for young people once this site is complete. That's really important to note here. Industry is a big part of this. And this is just the final picture so that, again, you have some context and you can see the amount of space that this federal complex will be taking up essentially in North St. Louis. But then again, all of the development around it will include not just new residential, but also a lot of new offices and employers that will be here ready to give you career opportunities and help you on pathways once you complete high school and or higher education. So with that, I will go into a video that I found through one of our partners, ESRI. That's actually the software that we use when we're doing our training. And you will be able to see, just get an overview of how it says here GIS in the time of COVID. GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems, which is actually technology application related to geospatial science and technology. And so we use the two interchangeably, although they are different, but you'll be able to see here why this industry and this technology and this pathway is tremendously important. Can you guys hear?
We're not seeing the video.
Okay. I'm going to stop share and then share it again.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to refresh the video page. It could be YouTube being crazy. And now I will share again. Let's see. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
As our world gets smaller, and what happens somewhere else hits closer and closer to home. There's so much the world wants to know.
We don't know a lot of things.
There's a lot of questions out there.
People very insecure.
It's not enough to know we're interconnected. We have to understand how and collaborate to build a better future. Your answers matter more than ever. Thank you for your vital work.
Okay, that was a very intense video by ESRI, but again, just demonstrating the importance of not just geographic information systems, but geospatial intelligence, which we'll go into in the presentation. I am trying to reduce this video. So next, I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction and talk to you about the training and apprenticeship program that we have at Gateway Global. Again, this presentation will be very specific. It will look very defense heavy, and in some ways it is, just because national defense and then homeland security are low-hanging fruit in terms of employment opportunities and education, if you will, in this region. So we'll talk about that primarily, but I want you to keep in mind the things that you just saw in the video, and then the opportunities across different industries, including agriculture, transport, logistics, and healthcare. So we'll start here. This is just the homepage that we just really love to share it. Can you hear me?
We're not seeing the presentation, so I'm wondering if maybe you want to do what you did before.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I will do that again. Okay. Oh, it looks like it stopped sharing on its own. Okay. Can you see now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is the homepage for Gateway Global American Youth and Business Alliance, which again is our nonprofit organization that holds the Geospatial Intelligence Specialist Training and Apprenticeship Program. So who we are, just in general, I explained, some of that at the very beginning, but just again, we're a workforce development organization. We also have a for-profit certified business that was created to create jobs for our young people. We do have employer partners, particularly in defense, but we decided that it was best to not only train and place people, but also to have some job opportunities open ourselves for young people. And so we found that to be very effective and interesting to our employer partners. So if you can see here, we have other apprenticeships that we will be opening in the future. Right now we have the geospatial/GIS, which is current. Networking engineering, that actually should be updated. That's not current, but the network engineering and security IoT, and then industrial IoT is something that we're working on with another partner. And then robotics and artificial intelligence, those are ones that we're planning to open as well in the near future. So many options, all using geospatial intelligence and GIS as basically launch pads. These are some of our partners, as you can see, USGIF, I'll talk about them a little bit later, T-Rex County, GeoFutures. For those of you who don't know, GeoFutures is a 28-person committee, a regional committee that was put together by St. Louis Development Corporation. I'm one of the 28 committee members, and what we did together since last October was help to put together a report of about 120 pages of a regional economic development plan specifically for the geospatial industry. And so I say that to say that we are working very hard to ensure as many opportunities as possible for young people in the region in this space. So here are some quick definitions. Again, I mentioned that I would differentiate geospatial, GeoInt, and GIS. Geospatial is the data related to geography or some location on Earth or in outer space. If you've been following all the activity in outer space, it's kind of exciting. And then GeoInt, Geospatial Intelligence, which is one of the national accreditations that we offer, is the geospatial data that uses imagery to analyze topography on natural and man-made land structures, as well as activity-based intelligence, human geography and dynamism, or human terrain, as it's called in some spaces. And then GIS, or Geographic Information Systems, is the technological application used to collect and analyze and report that data that we find just all over Earth. And then again, the translation is that these are all really fancy ways of saying that we know how to map things. And here's why this work matters, which I find whenever we have presentations with young people, they get excited about this part. We're happy about that. Why this work matters. You should know that this is critically important, again, not just for all those sectors that you saw in the video, but for bigger picture issues like national defense and homeland security, food security, and all of these things. This is extremely important work. These are some of the areas where the United States will fall behind globally without innovative workforce and education solutions. All of this list, I should say, was collected from World Economic Forum, World Trade Organization, and we compiled the list from the data that we found there. So if you see this list is pretty long, we consider it very long. Sustainable energy, outer space, if you again have followed Space Force with the United States Air Force, global soft power, advanced fatal weaponry, allied infrastructure assets, 5G, which I'm sure most young people are following all the happenings with 5G, artificial intelligence, robotics, geospatial intelligence, and of course, high-speed rail and other sustainable transportation. We are determined to get young people very interested in these spaces so that we continue to move forward and not fall so far behind. But that is what the trend is right now. So for Gateway Global American Youth and Business Alliance, we have career pathway support. This is how it works. When we train you, we have a 12-week training, and I'll go through some of the detail of that. And then we have the apprenticeship program. But when we train you and when you're done after the 12 weeks, you are officially qualified as a geospatial specialist or / GIS specialist. Some people call it a technician and specialist. They use it interchangeably. From there, you are able, with more education, more credentialing, and more experience, you're able to pathway into the analyst, an engineer, programmer, director, and then into even high leadership roles. I should back up too and say that the program is actually named Entry to Executive, which is why we have that pathway laid out for you. This is a career ladder for geospatial / GIS. And if you can see there,
Would you please forgive me? I'm just wondering, could you put it on slideshow? Because I really want the students to be able to see those different jobs on the right-hand side of that shot. And it's just a little small.
Okay, so it's blocked on your side too. I thought it was just mine.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for expanding that. I appreciate it. Everything else was fine. It's just that print was a little small. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for pointing that out. I thought it was just small on my side. So if you can see here, I'm going to move that over. At the very base level, the $30,000 to $50,000 tier, which is entry level, you can see that is where you as a geospatial GIS specialist or technician would be once we have trained you. Again, you could be placed with one of our employer partners and be at that level, or you could work as an apprentice for us and still be at that level. And you can see that there are several other job descriptions here. The GIS technician is also listed, but that is equivalent of a specialist depending on the amount of experience that's required by the employer. So that's the $30,000 to $50,000 base level. You look at the mid-level, again, more credentials, more education, more experience. You can move into cartographer or senior geospatial analyst, up to the 70 to 80,000 in management, or a GeoInt analyst again, or a GIS database administrator. I'm just going through a few of these, not to go through the entire list. And then at the very highest levels, as you can see, with senior level executives or senior level management and executives, the $80,000 to $150,000, which is the project managers, data scientists. I think in some cases, actually, depending on the state, data scientists actually make north of $150,000. Again, I have to emphasize with more education and more experience. And then the software engineers and senior CAD designers. This is just some data that we collected and we wanted young people to see so that you have some idea of what the job scene across the United States is like in terms of the numbers. And to be honest, these numbers are probably twice as high by now because we give this presentation all the time and we didn't update the numbers since the last several months. But when I went back and looked at them, the numbers were higher. So if you just multiply all of this by 2, that's the numbers across the US right now. These jobs are steadily growing because of the converging sectors, which you'll see later, or we'll talk about, where geospatial can be used in all these different industries. So there's several different industries that use geospatial technicians or specialists for different aspects of their technology enterprise. So here again, the GIS developer, data scientist, all of these numbers are significantly high on the left side of the screen. But in particular, I want you to focus on the geospatial specialists or GIS specialists. It is at that time almost as high as the GIS developer. That means that at the entry level, where you would be coming in as a young person who's just graduated high school after our training or apprenticeship, or if you're a freshman or sophomore in college, because we're working now with some universities as well, working through our apprenticeship, you could still be at that level, if you remember in the pyramid, and making that same amount of money in this type of role, which is why I highlighted it. Very important. So transferable skills now and next generation talent cultivation, which is most of what our mission is about. Geospatial converges with other critical industries like AI, network security, Internet of Things, also cybersecurity, which you see here. Mike mentioned, and I wrote it down when I was looking through your presentation, the GPS coordinates actually during your presentation. And that's something else that I wanted to highlight. So you could very well be interested in going to a cybersecurity field and have also some geospatial background, because the industry trends are showing that you're more than likely going to need it to be able to locate whatever kinds of cyber threats are taking place, depending on what level you're working at. So again, AI, network security, cybersecurity, IoT, and also now IIoT, which is industrial Internet of Things. And the market sizes by 2025, the research that we found shows that the markets by 2025 across the US, geospatial analytics is at 134 billion, cybersecurity 259 billion, AI 391, and IoT is in the trillions, which again is very linked to geospatial science and technology. You will not be able to be successful in IoT without using geospatial science or GIS. This is an overview of our training, and this just shows basically everything that the student learns during that 12 weeks. If you can see here, I'm gonna move this around so I can see. So we have an online platform. Again, it's 12 weeks, it's all virtual. We started with a hybrid model. COVID and all of its craziness helped us out. We have amazing instructors. Our lead instructor is a PhD candidate in geospatial biology with about 12 years of expertise in this space, and he loves teaching, which is very helpful for us. He loves teaching virtually. And then our backup trainer has a MS in, that's a Master's of Science in Geographic Information Systems, and we're also hiring another person with the exact same credentials. I bring this up so that students understand that the instructors that are teaching them are highly qualified. These folks know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a very long time, and they are able to give all the ins and outs to get you prepared to go to work and or prepare for more education and experience. So again, 12 weeks online, all the lessons. Right now we're using Google Classroom. We are moving to Instructure, Canvas. That'll be our next move in our next cohort in January. They have short quizzes, pass, fail. I mean, it's everything that our course is the equivalent of an intro to geographic information systems at a freshman college level, basically. They are learning on the ArcGIS platform, the cloud version, not the desktop version. The curriculum, as you can see, includes map design, outputs, geodatabases, processing, digitizing, and then we have our USGIF approved GeoInt, which we are actually the only non-university in the United States to be accredited by this body, USGIF, which is the world leader in geospatial intelligence. So we're super excited about that. So every young person who goes through our training or in Missouri or in the St. Louis region who goes through our training will have that national credential and can take it pretty much to any defense employer, and have a preference from that employer. Skills and capabilities after receiving the training, and this is only training, it's not even at the apprenticeship that follows the training. So they have the capability of working again with ArcGIS Online. This says ArcMap and Catalog, but we've recently decided not to do that because ESRI is phasing that out. So we're not even going to bother with it. We're just staying with the highest trending software that they have. They have the ability to edit points, lines, and polygons, utilize, manipulate layer symbology. You will be able to create selection sets and understanding queries, data sets, features, feature classes, shape files. And to many of you, that might sound like a bunch of gibberish right now because you don't know what that is. But the reason why it's important is because we take a stance of merging the social sciences, as it were, with the hard science, so that you understand while you're being trained on all of this technical stuff, that you also understand what the big picture is, how it's related to the work, and all of your projects are based on real world work the entire time. Again, marrying the social science with the hard science. And so that goes into some of you who are interested in those social sciences or in a political science or in agriculture and things of that nature, or history, actually, many different avenues you can take. You can benefit from having this credential. So we're at the end, and this is just our screen of what to do next. You've seen the video, you've heard the presentation, you've learned somewhat of the importance of the career in geospatial. We have a registration process that goes either through district partners that we're working with, or you can come directly to our website. We also work with career centers, workforce investment boards, and again, this is just an opportunity, a huge opportunity for you to get stackable credentials. I should also mention that DESE we've been working with them for over a year. So I think after January that our stackables will be eligible for high school credit. So if that's of interest to some of your 11th and 12th graders, that's a really big deal for us because we wanted to be able to offer them something while they were in high school that kind of mattered while they were in the school day, in addition to the stackables and the employment opportunities. So that's it. So now you've heard all of that. Now you have an opportunity to get on a pathway to a really amazing career. So
interesting. So interesting. Ms. Bengali, do any of the students who are participating have questions?
We have one question from the chat, just sort of a general question for our presenters. The student is asking if there are any specific companies that you note a lot of former students tend to go to work for.
So I can start by saying that what we have, so we just graduated our inaugural cohort over the summer. And in January, we actually will be placing some of the students that graduated, and then also some college students. We have a really tricky program, and I say that because there have been some alumni from high schools that have come to us and say, hey, you didn't have this when we were there, we want to participate. So we are also placing some of those young folks with employers as well. But for example, we are partnered with like Leidos, again, very defense heavy. So Leidos, Maxar, L3 Harris, really big companies. We are looking more to partner with some of the smaller and medium-sized companies as well. So those are just the biggest three right off the top of the list for the young person who asked the question.
Amber, do you want to throw out some of your,
Yeah, I think for us, it's a little more challenging because we're still trying to fight the stereotype of most of the companies want a unicorn, which means 5 years of experience with a certification that takes 10 years to get. So that's why it's really interesting for high school students to get right into the workforce. But some of the ones that really got like not only diversity, inclusion, but really understood apprenticeships. And true entry-level talent that comes to mind is Centene. They're doing a really good job of trying to groom that. Kraken appreciates if you have that grit and determination. ContelNet's another one that's kind of up and coming, willing to invest into the true entry-level talent. So that's kind of why we're out here preaching apprenticeships and true entry-level talent to kind of create that pipeline. Because right now it's still kind of a struggle getting you guys in to get some experience.
Okay, interesting. Zakita, I was wondering, so you have really created a pathway. I know you have a partnership with St. Louis University. And so how would,
And
what
now
would
Harrisville State.
Oh, good.
Both, yeah.
Wonderful.
So,
They're participating, I think, in our next week Tech Tuesday session.
Okay,
So that's
nice.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So I guess could you explain to our high school juniors and seniors who are participating today what that pathway looks like, how you work with the universities?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. So that pathway looks like really Gateway Global being a bridge between the two. So obviously, if we capture you while you're in high school and you get those stackable credentials, our partnerships with the university are, and I should also say that we've been talking to St. Louis Community College too for like a 2+ situation. But our role is really to facilitate the supportive service, I guess, for the young person who needs to figure out how do I go along this pathway. So for our university partners, what we've been working on, and SLU is different because the partnership that we have for them is mostly like, program data and following the student after they've gone through the program and into higher ed and into the workforce. Whereas Harrisville State is more really hands-on and more like what we're talking about today, which is summer programming. Actually, we're going to have a cohort with them in the spring going into the summer for high school students. And then also working on the apprenticeship piece while they're in college. So it's connecting our apprenticeship program to higher education. So for those students who, once we've worked with them individually and they understand what the pathway looks like, they are able to keep working as an apprentice and attend that university and get some incentive for it. That is the partnership that we're actually carving out with Harrisville, and we're hoping to carve that out. SLU is a little bit more bureaucratic, I hate to say, so we have to work on that a little bit more in terms of the action steps versus just the data and program, watching the program. But in terms of action, that's what we're working on with the university partners, because what we know is that for the demographic that we serve, and Sally, I think you and I talked about this, and we serve the urban center, but we also serve rural communities as well. And so our university partners are really important in that, because we're pulling young people from all over the state and saying, here's a way for you to get into these industries. And if you've been thinking about higher education, we don't want to push you away from that by just offering you work first. We want to help you with work and then keep you working while you pursue more education. Because what we found, we had survey data, and some of your students who are watching probably can attest to this, they are more likely to go on a higher education pathway and get higher earning, more role responsibility, more lucrative career, if in fact they can get their foot in the door first and they don't always have to be in survival mode, so to speak. Right. So it's like, I get work, I'm not at Starbucks, I'm at the defense company, and they're going to help me pathway versus just, hey, we let you in, now you're on your own, which is kind of what normally happens. I should also say too, that for our defense partners that are opening up slots and that have contracted work out to us, it's all unsecured. So we've removed that element of them needing a security clearance.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. So we're really lucky here in St. Louis. So if a student is interested in this geospatial field, and it sounds like there's so many different opportunities, you would be a great first step for those students. And you can kind of, talk to them, hear what their interests are and what they'd like to do. And you can share different opportunities and different pathways with them here locally. Okay, that's fantastic.
That's how we've designed it, so we can help them figure it out. Yeah.
That's great. Does anyone else have questions for Zakita?
We do have a request for the link for the application for the Gateway Global Internship.
Oh, okay. So the website, should I put it in the box or?
If you want to put it in the chat, I'll go ahead and post it out to the
Oh.
live chat.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll pull it up. I'm sorry, I didn't have it.
That's okay.
And-
No
Okay,
worries.
that's great. Zakita, can you type and talk at the same time? I have another question.
I can, yeah. Go ahead.
Is that overview of training sheet that you shared on your website?
It is not on the website. It's actually something that I share during the presentation, or I usually email it out to school leaders.
Okay.
I can send it. If you
Fantastic.
want.
And then I'll share it out. That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get that link in there.
Yes, I am. My computer's moving very slow. Oh, no, here, it's up. I'm gonna get the link in here. It's a very simple application form. I mean, once the application is submitted, then we just kind of go from there, helping the student to find their way through all of this. So that's it right there. Yeah.
That's great. When will the NGA facility be completed?
Right now they're saying 2024 or 2025, actually, I think.
Okay,
is the,
sooner than I thought. Okay.
yeah,
great.
but what's interesting is that the employers are actually getting prepped now. Everybody's working now for that opening. So,
Fantastic.
mhm.
Wow, such great information. So are there any other questions from our group or from our students who are participating?
There are no other questions in the chat.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think this will conclude our session then. I can't thank our guests enough for sharing this wonderful information with our teachers and with our students. And we really appreciate your time today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and we'll log off. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Bye.